The 13 Fishing Omen Trout and Panfish rod. My friends, I have been very eagerly awaiting this rod right here, and I finally got my hands on one, and you know the drill. This is an ultralight video, so what am I gonna do? We're gonna catch some fish, we're gonna have some fun, and at the end of this video, I'm gonna share with you my thoughts on this rod and kind of what it has to offer. So without further ado, let's start catching some of those fish. Let's get started. Okay, so I actually picked up the 6'9" model. This is rated for 1/32 through 3/32 ounce lures and line 2 to 6 pound test, and they say this is a fast action. Now, as you can see, I definitely think it's close to a fast action, but I would say it's actually a little more like a moderate fast in my opinion. You know, it bends a good bit down the blank. I'm not mad about it. I think it's gonna be a fun stick. I've already fished with it a few times, and I've caught a lot of fish on it, and quite honestly, I've been very impressed. And I'm gonna talk about what I've liked about it here in a few minutes, but for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm actually using a little micro Rapala, it's like a lipless crankbait. So we'll see. If it works, great. If not, that's okay. Now, fun fact, I've actually never been here in my life. I didn't even know it existed until the other day. I was on Google Maps and I discovered it. And a lot of people actually ask me how I find my fishing spots, and Google Maps is pretty much my best friend. So I discovered this place the other day and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try this out. I've been seeing a bunch of small bass and bluegills on the shallows, but again, they're really dinky. So hopefully there's some sizable fish here. We'll see. So as far as how this rod balances, I'd say it does pretty good, but it's a little tip heavy with a size 1000 reel. That's kind of to be expected though. Most of the time when I fish with ultralights over 6'6" in length, they start being pretty tip heavy, and that's just not uncommon. It's unfortunate, but it's not uncommon. I kind of wish that there would be an ultralight company out there that would make a 6'6" or 7-foot rod that balances well with a size 1000 reel. Unfortunately, it always feels like they're kind of meant to pair with like a 2500 size reel, and to me, that seems like overkill. That's just my perspective. Either way, it still balances pretty good. I'm not necessarily mad about the slightly tip forward balance on this rod. It's certainly not uncommon for a rod like this to feel this way. There's one. Oh my gosh, what is this? It's a little tiny bluegill. That's Andy's foul hooked right in the head. Okay. These are the stinking fish that end up getting a treble hook in my hand, so let's just be careful here. All right, buddy, I'm sorry about your eyeball. Yep, that's gonna be a potentially blind fish. Well, dinky bluegill, but we're on the board. Okay, well, I didn't necessarily feel that bite at all. It just all of a sudden I had him on there. All right, I have casted this lipless crankbait around enough. It is not producing, so I'm gonna switch it out. Okay, I'm going to something that I'm confident in. I've got the 1/32 ounce black mule jig, and then I've got a Dakota Sunrise horsefly. And there you have it. Nice stretchy little morsel right there. Okay, so I'm obviously using 2-pound test, and I've talked about this in the past. You know, line is such a key part of making good long casts when it comes to ultralight gear, but this rod honestly loads up really well. That's a little largemouth is what that is. All right, well, we made about 3 casts and we're already on the board when it comes to the horsefly, so clearly that's gonna outproduce the lipless crankbait, but you can't say I didn't try. Man, he liked that. Well, it's a dinky bass, but it's a fish. I haven't seen any big bluegill yet. Seen all sorts of little ones though. Speaking of, there's one. Yep, just a little guy. You know, the funny thing is all these fish I'm seeing, this is a big one. There's a lot of really small baby bluegill. Something's telling me that this place is gonna be overpopulated. Got him. Yeah, there's a lot of these little guys in here. I gotta get out of this area. And then here's the aesthetics, right? This is a really, really pretty rod. I love the gold trim. I think that like slightly green colored rod, but it's mostly black. I think it looks really nice. You know, pretty basic split grip. You know, it looks really nice. It feels pretty comfortable, but it's, you know, pretty minimal, pretty low profile, but it definitely is a sexy looking rod, that's for sure. The one thing I haven't mentioned yet is this rod does not feature a hook keeper anywhere, sadly. I don't know why rod companies do that. It's really annoying to me. I feel like it takes very, very little money and very little time to simply add some kind of little loop so you can hang your hook on there when you're not using the rod. Not the end of the world. I don't know that that would necessarily deter me from buying this rod, but it's kind of annoying. Like 13, come on, you should have put some kind of hook keeper on here. Okay, that's just impressive. Come on, you kidding me? I mean, this body of water probably was not the best choice because it's fish like this. A couple bluegill roaming around up there. Looks like there's actually some beds still. Don't know if there's any actually bedding, but there's some on it. There goes a bass. That bass is actually decent right there. And there's, you know, an average bluegill. Not a big one by any means, but better than a lot of them. There's one. Yeah, I'm gonna be able to pluck a bunch of these off if I want to. I'll probably get pretty bored with it because, well, you know, they're pretty small. But they're still fish, so it's fun. There's one. A little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. Oh, that's a pumpkin seed. There you go. That is a pure pumpkin right there. I like that. Beautiful fish. Yeah, this rod's just a little whippy for this small stuff, I'm telling you. I just am having a harder time detecting bites than I do on my like 6-foot rods that are a little bit more fast. When I go to kind of shake my jig, my whole rod just kind of wobbles. Like, watch this. You see that? It's pretty whippy. You know, I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing for certain styles of fishing, but for what I'm doing right now, it's not really ideal. Okay, I'm gonna show you something. I'm getting bit every single time, but this rod right here, I've also got this rod right here, and this is a 6'1", but it is very, very fast. And I will easily be able to detect bites just better with this rod, guaranteed. Like, there's my jig. Oh, he's just nipping it. He didn't have it all the way. I could actually tell that that fish didn't have it all the way. This rod is so dang sensitive, and it's so fast. And there's got one. Yep. I'm telling you, this rod right here is better for the shallow water gills and stuff. This is my Dobbins, but it's because it's fast. It's like a true fast. And you know, this rod actually has like a solid tip, which is kind of a unique thing. The 13 is just, it's probably built a little bit more for larger gear. Got a dang horsefly on me. It's probably more so built for, like, you know, your 16th ounce, you know, 8th ounce crappie jig type stuff. But if you're fishing like 1/64th, 1/32nd, and you're fishing up in the shallows, you're better off with a faster rod, is what I'm saying. And like I said, I really think their 5'6" model would be better for that style of fishing. So if you like a little bit shorter rod, I think their 5'6" would be pretty dynamite. Basically, the Omen to me is very, very, very similar to the Defy Silver. The difference is that it's obviously using higher quality components, so it's more of a premium rod. It's retail is about 110 or 120 depending on the size. So the 6'9" that I bought was $120, but I think the 5'6" is 110. There you go. Yeah, I'm telling you guys, it's not even close. This rod is better for this style of fishing. Anyways, I am going to put away the Dobbins for now. That was a lot of fun right there, smashing those fish. But we're gonna stay focused on today's topic, and that is the 13. Wham! How do you like that? Got him. I saw this fish. I saw this fish swim next to my kayak. I dropped this right in front of him, and there we go. The most respectable fish of the day. Still not a very big bass, but as you can see, look at that rod. It really bends a lot. There's actually a bigger one underneath him, no joke. Holy smokes. I need to drop back down there. It's pretty unlikely here, but you never know. One followed this guy in. Where did he go? I don't know. He must have, I think he pieced out of here. We're gonna let this guy go. Just a little, you know, smaller bass, but fun on the ultralight. Come on. There was definitely a bigger fish behind him. I don't know where he went. There's one. I saw a splash back there, so I cast back there, and voila, got a little dink. All right. Man, I tell you what, this body of water is long and flat, and the wind is absolutely howling right now. So unfortunately, I'm just not quite figuring them out today. I am starting to see a few more bass on this side, so fingers crossed, but it just seems like I probably chose the wrong time of day to fish. I mean, the heat of the day during the heat of summer is usually about the worst time to fish, but you know, you just make do with what you got. And I had time, so I'm gonna come out here. I'm still having fun, but I would like to put just a little bit more flex in this rod because I haven't really flexed on it quite as much as I would like yet. The good news is that I've caught several fish on it by this point, so I truly do feel like I've got a good opinion on this rod, but I would like to show it a little bit more. So fingers crossed, let's go get one. There you go. Hey, what do you got here? Is this a warmouth? Wait a second. That is a warmouth hybrid with a bluegill. That is. Or is it just a warmouth? I think that's a warmouth hybrid with a bluegill because of that. Yeah, I know that's it's got at least some warmouth in it. Sweet. Well, that actually kind of makes my day because I love warmouth. They're an interesting species. I don't catch them very often. Makes me happy. Oh my gosh. Is that a big bass next to me, or am I just seeing things? Hey, a crappie, sweet. I think I'm just seeing things, but I'm looking down there, I'm like, I saw a big shadow and I think it was just a clump of grass, but in my head, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's a 5-pound bass. But sweet, I caught a crappie, so there are crappie in here. What is this? Random bass, just kind of like, I didn't even feel the bite. I just pulled up and it was like grassy feeling, but it was a bass, and now he's down in the grass, dadgummit. Oh gosh. There you go. Cool. Golly, he's got some fight. I didn't even feel that bite at all. It just got to be just like a wet sock, dude. All right, well, there you go. I mean, hey, it's another respectable fish. For ultralight, it's a good little bass right here. That's another fish. This might be a crappie. Is this a crappie? No, it's a nice warmouth. Sweet. All right. I can't tell this one. I can't tell if this one has a hybrid in it or not. It might be another hybrid. I'm gonna take a little photo of that guy. Yeah, I love warmouth, dude. They're such a cool sunfish, I'm telling you. I got tired of that weird shallow lake, so I called it a trip, but I'm not done testing this rod. So here we are, it's evening, and the goal right now is to catch some crappie because, well, evening is the best time during summer to catch crappie. I'm pretty darn confident we can make one bite. This is really one of my favorite presentations for crappie, is you just keep that rod tip high and you just watch that line and you're really targeting suspended fish. And this is how I used this rod the other day when I was catching those bass. I just happened to be doing it from the kayak the other day. Oh snap, I was reeling this up and a freaking bass ate it. All right. Just a little bass. There's one. That's gotta be a crappie. There you go, look at that rod. Look at that bend. Gotta love it. It's by no means a big crappie, but nice respectable little crappie. Love these fish, and that is one of my favorite techniques right there. And like I said, that's where this 6'9" rod shines. You know, I really do prefer a little bit longer rod for this style of fishing right here. You know, you can do this with a shorter rod. I just think that the presentation is just a little bit better when you're able to keep that rod tip high and keep the line kind of penduluming down, and you can just kind of keep the bait in the strike zone a little bit longer. Ooh, I just had a little nibble. There's one. That's a little bass. All right, well, I'll take some bonus bass. This is a good little ultralight fish. There you go. He's a healthy looking little guy though, not gonna lie. I'm too lazy to do an actual slip float, so I'm just gonna run it peg style. So I just take that peg out, I run my line through it, down through the bottom. I'll put it at the desired depth, and then we'll just start running a little jig underneath a float. And I think the crappie will like that. And if not crappie, I guarantee I'll catch something else too. There's one. That's probably a bass. Is it? No, it is a crappie. That's kind of a weird bite. And he reacted to that thing. I kind of moved it a little bit, and he came and got it. It's a healthy little crappie. Not big by any means, but there you go. That's the species I'm kind of after. And again, that little Omen Panfish and Trout in the 6'9" model in particular, I think it's going to be a really nice rod for this species right here. Got him. That's going to be a smaller fish, but right species. I've come out here and fished a little bit without the camera, and I've caught a decent amount of crappie, but I haven't been catching any big ones this year, and I don't know what's going on. I know there's a few down there, but just feels like a lot of those bigger crappie are just nowhere to be found right now. Same spot, there's a bite. He just was kind of pulling on the tail. There, he's got him. See, the float never even went under. That fish grabbed it and went to the side. A really, really small crappie. That is an absolute micro right there. Whoa. Chill out, buddy. They seem to be a little further off the bank today, and again, that's kind of where that little bit longer rod is going to help you, especially with a rig like this, is when they get it and pull it under, you're going to be able to move more line when you go to set the hook. Because if I was using the 5'6" model, for example, I might not have hooked that fish. Oh man, big old bass decided to show up. How about all these bass, man? Look at that. Look at that rod go. It's a nice one. It's probably close to 15 inches. He's kind of long and skinny. Cool. Well, my GoPro just died, so that's probably a sign that we should wrap up today's video. Now, obviously, I've put a lot of flex in this rod today. We've caught a lot of fish. It's been kind of a weird day, but we ultimately got the job done. And if I have not made it clear, this is obviously going to be more of a crappie stick for me. I don't necessarily see this 6'9" model as being a very versatile stick, but I do think it's going to be good for the crappie fishing techniques. Maybe some dock shooting, fishing suspended fish over deeper water, throwing a float rig, so on and so forth. I think it's going to be pretty good for that kind of stuff, especially once I slap some braid on there. I think this rod is really going to be good with braid. But I think if you went with a 5'6" model, it's probably going to be a little bit better for some of the bluegill and the shallower water and whatnot. Either way, I like the stick, and I'm excited to keep playing around with it. Make sure to stay tuned, because guess what? I've got more ultralights to test. I always do. I can't help myself. It's fun. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.